Today's craft, taking packaging from computer boxes and making it into epic stone walls. It's gonna be dope. So we have black bombed our pieces. It was easy because spray paint's awesome. If you don't have spray paint or don't have a place to safely spray paint, you can definitely just use cheap apple barrel black and slather it on. Make sure it gets into all the cracks and crevices. My black bomb here did not get into all the cracks and crevices. There are some spots there that don't have complete fill there. You can kind of see that. So that's fine because I'm going to overbrush this thing with so many other layers to make it look stony and bring out the texture that it won't matter. You could paint your piece, whatever color you want. I personally am sticking with kind of a mix of a little touch of red here and there, some watered down red, as well as some brown and some darker gray, and then I'll pull highlights with some lighter gray and some tan. So I'm going to start with semi-full coverage of gray and brown, kind of mixing them. I don't want to make it totally muddy. I want some differentiation, but I'm going to kind of mix those things. So let's see what we could do with that. A little red, a little nutmeg brown. And I'm just going to kind of hit some of these dark spots there. Really what I'm doing is kind of stippling and just alternating my brush. I guess I'm kind of focused on staying in the low parts. So I'm not super worried about perfect coverage. Because again, this is going to get gray and brown over it. So, but if a little bit of red peeks through, that'd be cool. That's kind of my goal. Now I'm going to hit that brown. And it's okay if there's still red on the brush. And this I'm kind of flat stippling, so I'm almost like slapping on bigger chunks. Looks kind of sloppy, but it'll come out really nice. So those warmer colors will be underneath. And then when I go back over with the gray, it'll be nice. So and again, depending on where you're going to set your adventures here, it could be, this is something that you could have, you could do like a Red Rocks kind of vibe, you know. This could be sci-fi terrain. This could be, it could be, you know, some kind of southern area, in a fantasy world. It could be, you know, you could go with really vibrant colors too. You can go with like deep blues and purples and make it underdark terrain. But the nice thing about this computer packing material is that it just lends itself towards texture and paint. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and hit it with the grays. First the dark gray, and then the lighter gray for the highlight. Now I'm going to hit this with some pewter gray. So, and I don't really need that much because I'm going to sponge it on. And it's going to be a very, I don't want to say dry brush because this sponge is damp, but it's very textured. Like I pulled pieces out of the sponge. So I'm going to kind of load the sponge up. And that maybe is too much. So I'm going to sponge some off. If I have to, I'll keep sponging some off. But basically what I want to do is start hitting this in randomized kind of intervals with the sponge. And there's already like a mountain of texture on these things. That's one of the things that I like about these computer packing things. So I'm just going to kind of go across here and alternate the direction of my sponge. And whatever I don't get, it's fine, because I'm still going to go back over this with 2 more dry brush coats. But this kind of adds to that rocky texture. And it covers up some of the red and brown, but not to excess, not where you lose it. Right? So I'm just working my way around here. Beautiful. And I mean, no fooling, like I could stop right there and this would be dope. In fact, I'm gonna live zoom in just so you see the dopitude. Yeah, I mean that's already pretty sweet. Here, I'll move the light so you can kind of see the real colors in there coming through. I mean, I could leave it literally like that and put it on the table and it would be cool, but wait until I hit it with 2 more highlights to really bring things out. But that's what I'm going to do for the next layer. So, crappy old kitchen sponge with a dusting of the pewter gray, the dark gray, which also dries lighter too. So. Alright, so this is dried up a little bit. Now it's time to hit those highlights. So I got a real big fat soft brush that's going to be perfect for highlighting. And I'm going to start off with some granite gray. That's your classic highlight for your stones and stuff. And I'm going to load the brush up and then wipe it off. Get as much off as I can. So what I'm looking at is where this stuff pops, okay? I don't want to go in the recesses here with my highlights. I want to hit the edges, right? So I'm going to kind of go at different intervals there. And I'm going to go up along there. And then along the edges there. So kind of hitting the parts that should come out. Right, just to bring that out. That's where I'm creating depth. This is what's cool about this stuff, is that, well, number one, it's free, because if you find somebody who's throwing out packaging from a recent computer purchase, this stuff's everywhere. Like, I could drive down my streets on a weekend and go pick up a bunch of this stuff. Or just, you know, check your local library or school or whatever to see if they have any packaging. But, I mean, this stuff's fantastic. So right there, you could already see how I've created depth just using that highlight coat. And the color still comes through. Here, I'll flip it for comparison. So that's the side that I just highlighted. This is the side that has not yet been highlighted. So watch, it's just, you know, kind of a matter of bringing it alive. Right? I'm just going to hit these columns at the end, hit the top. And right there, okay, so I goofed. I had too much paint there. You can see that. I'm just going to smudge it down a little bit with my finger. Okay. So, get the paint on there, wipe it off, hit across the tops, right? Hit where the light would hit, basically. That's what I'm looking for. And not too heavy, because I want to pick up those colors underneath. But again, right there. And you could feather it out, you know, along the edges. a little more if you want to get some more of that texture. But I found that this stuff has just great elevations and stuff to be able to give it that kind of depth. So again, that's pretty damn solid. Move on to the next one. And it's the great thing about dry brushing too is that it's done. Like, that thing's dry in like a minute. Okay, so this is a slightly different piece and it has different elevations, but I'm looking at, again, the edges. You know, I want to leave the darks dark. So the tops, I'm going to go across the top and across these kind of columns that stick out. Where would the light come? Where would the light hit those edges? That's what I'm looking for. And I'm just dusting this light kind of granite gray across. And you know, again, it depends on your location, where these are going to go. So maybe you have a setting that this would be better to have warmer colors on because you're, you know, in some jungle area. Then just use warmer colors and add some greens in, maybe to symbolize the vast quantity of plants and vines and stuff. But I think it's pretty easy to modify your plans based on what you need this stuff to work for. So again, just, I mean, a light dusting. You know, I didn't baby this. I didn't take forever. This is the reason why I'm doing this in real time and not speeding it up, is so that you see just how easy that is. And I got one more. This is the last one. I need a little more juice. A little more of the granite gray. So load my brush up, wipe it off. And you know what, if you're a newer subscriber, I want to tell you something. I have no prior painting experience. I'm not a painter. I'm not an artist with graphics. I picked up this stuff from DM Scotty and from other crafters, and I just practiced. And I failed many times. I have many crafting fails. If I made a video for every crafting fail, I could have a whole channel just based on crafting fails. But the key is don't be discouraged. I certainly was. My first few attempts sucked so bad that I didn't take pictures, and I almost gave up, truth be told. But it was kind of like, I don't know, a challenge that I didn't want to fail on. So I kept working at it. And I am not one of the masters of crafting, but I'm also just not afraid to craft because it's fun. Terrain is fun. And you know what? You bust this stuff out at a game table, and you just got domination points. I've been to so many games where there's no terrain, and you know, I don't think terrain's necessary. I played D&D for probably 30 of the almost 40 years without any terrain. So, but it's easy and it's fun, and you add a lot to your table. These guys are drying, but there's another step to kind of getting these finished. I mean, I could throw these on the table, but you'd see this cardboard lip. And these end pieces right here, I cut them off. I'm going to use them later for something else. But to make this wall kind of finished, all I really do is cut these ends off, and then I'm going to bend this corrugation. I'm going to bend it down. I'm going to kind of flatten it to make a lip. So you could, if you wanted to, you could glue this to another piece and add in more base. You know, you could add in whatever you want, really. Rocks, moss, whatever. But what I'm going to do is bend that down. See, you can see how I've kind of straightened it out. You see that corrugation popping through. But it's really easy to do. And then what I'm going to do is slather it in white glue, okay? So I'll put a ton of white glue on it, and I'll just glue construction stand and stones. And, you know, if you want to, you could put moss, whatever you want to put down here. Any flocking you want to put. But that's it. That's all you do is just glue it in there and let it set. and maybe do an overbrush with, you know, different rocky kind of colors to make it blend, and you're done. Final product, and it's pretty dope if I must say so myself. I decided to layer a couple walls. I got some minis up there for scale. And that's the whole enchilada right there. So a lot of walls, a lot of space that you could fill on the table, and pretty cheap. So good luck finding those computer packing things, and hopefully you too can make some cool looking stone walls. Thanks as always for subscribing, and hope you enjoy.